TINUBU presidency claims IMF debt cleared, but data shows N274 Billion still owed in charges. The most recent data published by the International Monetary Fund (IMF) shows that Nigeria owes a total of XDR 125.99 million, representing charges and interest on loans it has drawn. SDR means Special Drawing Rights and refers to a form of currency used to value funds borrowed by different beneficiary countries by the IMF. Okay now, according to the currency exchange platform XE, each XDR unit was worth 2,180 naira at the time of this report. According to the latest updates from the IMF published on April 30, 2025, Nigeria is expected to pay SDR 22.35 million naira in charges and interest in 2025. For 2026 and 2027, the figure is projected to remain steady as SDR 25.91 million. In 2028, the amount rises slightly to SDR 25.92 million before dipping marginally to SDR 25.90 million in 2029. Now wow, no be small thing. I don't understand all this SDR. In total, Nigerians' outstanding charges and interest to the IMF amount to SDR 125.99 million at an exchange rate of 2,180 naira per special drawing rights SDR. So if they now calculate all this thing, now how much it's based on XC currency conversion, this translates to approximately 274.66 billion naira. Nigeria's debt to the IMF originates from April 2020, when the country secured a loan approval of SDR 2.454 billion. IMF debt repayments are made up of two components: the principal and associated charges or interest. IMF debt repayments are made up of two components: the principal and associated charges or interest. Further breakdown shows that Nigeria was not scheduled to begin repaying the principal until 2023, when SDR 613.63 million became due. This was followed by a larger repayment of SDR 1.227 billion in 2024 and another SDR 613.63 million scheduled for 2025. Before principal repayments commenced, Nigeria paid only charges and interest totaling SDR 13.22 million naira in 2020, SDR 25.88 million in 2021, and SDR 25.89 million in 2022. With principal repayments starting in 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who assumed office that year, has overseen the ongoing debt servicing. As of April 30, 2025, IMF data confirms that Nigeria has met its scheduled principal repayments but still owes SDR 125.99 million in charges and interest. They will pay now. Citing data from the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) 2024 financial year report, Sahara reporters revealed that the country's debt burden to the International Monetary Fund (IMF) increased by 2.5 trillion by the end of December 2024. Primarily due to foreign exchange losses. In practical terms, Nigeria's liability to IMF stood at 2.5 trillion in 2023. However, the sharp depreciation of the naira over the course of 2024 caused the figure to double, reaching 5 trillion by year-end. According to the CBN's financial statement, this effectively meant that the country had to pay twice as much in local currency to meet its external obligations. Wow. Sahara reporters also pointed out a contradiction between this data and recent claims by government officials, including presidential aides, that Nigeria had cleared its debt to the IMF, while presidential aide Bayo Onanuga and Dada Olusegun publicly challenged the report, asserting that the IMF debt had fully been repaid, and data tells a more nuanced story. Not that Bayo Onanuga will always come outside to clear the air, always challenging. Although Nigeria may have met its scheduled principal repayments, the IMF still lists charges and interest under overdue obligations and projected payment funds, indicating that the country remains indebted. In that regard, what they will pay, abeg. Some reporters stood by its reporting, emphasizing that even if the principal was repaid, the weakened value of the naira significantly increased the financial burden on Nigeria in local currency terms. As a result, the government had to allocate more public funds than it would have if the naira had retained its value. In Nigeria, debt servicing has frequently been blamed for consuming much of the nation's revenue. For instance, a Sahara reporter's review of Nigeria's economic report for January 2025 revealed that the country spent 696 billion naira on debt servicing during that month alone between December 2024 and January 2025. Now wow, the total amount spent on debt servicing reached 1.3 trillion naira alone. It is well 696 billion in each of the 2 months. This exceeds the budgeted monthly figure of 689 billion for debt servicing. I don't know why they are borrowing money up and down. I don't know. The review also showed that zero naira was allocated for capital expenditure in January 2025, as stated in the economic report published by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Well, èmi tó jẹ gbèsè you go pay, cause I don't understand. I don't know why they are always borrowing money. Though this money that they are servicing, according to since April 2020, so obviously it was Buhari that borrowed that money. And yet somebody else is still servicing the debt. It is well, but they've tried. They've paid the real debt. It's just the what's it? The extra on top. Like they'll pay it. Just they'll pay it. Abi. Isaac Awotidoye says, honestly speaking, why I'm always skeptical about Tinubu's government, he and his fellow co-politicians across the country have never been made any personal sacrifice toward his government reforms or policies. It's only the masses of the country that bears the hardship. Exactly. All of us are not suffering together. Why should we be the ones to bear the burden of the suffering? Let all the politicians also be part of this. Let them also sacrifice something to know that, okay, yes, we are all on the same pages. We are all trying to make this country better. People are living lavish lifestyle, but we the citizens, we should be suffering. We should be suffering. It is well, where the politicians are living comfortably without making any personal sacrifices from their fast salaries, any monthly from the government. But now, to me, we are not in the same page. Exactly, we are not. We are not on the same page. They don't know what the citizens are going through. Taiwo says, let's try to appreciate this government once every time. Criticism. Well, abeg, you appreciate the money that they are borrowing. It's not as if we even saw what they did with it. And yes, you've paid the loan and then you are still debiting, you are still servicing the debt again. It's not funny. So say we see the effect of the money that they are borrowing now. Okay, yes, so we'll say, okay, they've tried. But now they are still paying interest. I'm hopeful that they'll pay it since they've been able to pay the original debt. They'll pay it now. They'll pay. But that does not still mean that we should give them accolade or anything, because the debt, the money that they borrowed, what did they use it for? We don't know. We don't know. But they say they are not owing. Oh, voila. Since well, my listeners, over to you. Leave your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye bye.